Yeah, it was a good day. Good to yeah, like you said, you didn't get a ton of laps, but or at least laps in a pack or anything like that. But it was still good for the amount that I got in something, just to visually kind of see what that looked like, and you'll feel the runs and all of that. It was good. So yeah, I feel like for what I needed to learn and check off my list, I thought it was a successful day. And yeah, hopefully the weather could get better for tomorrow, and you check some more things off.
How you do with rain dances and that sort of thing? Can you keep the weather away from us for some reason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like rain follows NASCAR, so it's probably my
Oh,
fault.
this is your
Rain
fault
fear.
then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Interesting. We'll begin with questions in person. I know there's some off of Zoom as well. So those of you joining us virtually, stand by for that. Start here in the front row. Bruce Martin. Hi, Bruce.
Is it almost a little bit like a tease that, you were going to have all this track time, supposedly, and you really weren't able to get that much? So in some ways, how do you balance that? Because there could have been a lot done today if the weather had cooperated.
Honestly, I kind of feel the opposite about it, because I feel like I've been checking the weather for a week and it's looked worse than, like I wasn't expecting to get on track at all. So, no, I feel like I've gotten more out of this week than I anticipated getting. So, no, I was happy to get the solid couple hours that we got in the morning, and yeah, so I would rather have gotten something rather than nothing.
So do you look at tomorrow as, it looks pretty grim tomorrow. So if you do get on track, it'd be bonus time.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, definitely. It's any lapse is good for me. Any lapse is bonus at this point. So yeah, I just hope that it gets better, and I doubt it, but we'll see.
I like your attitude, though. Stay optimistic with this. Bruce? I'm sorry, where's the microphone? Go ahead in the back. Sorry.
Noah Carmichael, Mighty Mac. So obviously, with the schedule that you have, any track time you need is good for you, obviously. With the obvious, no pun intended, damper on the weather, losing you possibly 2.5 days of track time. How much does that change for you with trying to prepare for this race, knowing that you need as much as you can get? And obviously with the weather, that takes away a big part of the opening session to help you get ready for May.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a couple ways you could probably look at it. I think laps would be great. I would obviously like more laps, but I think in conditions like this, I don't know how well of a representation it would be for the month of May, especially race day. So, maybe it's best that I don't get that many laps, this week, because, then I would have a false sense of what's real and what's coming, in a month. So it doesn't, like, I won't be sad if we don't get laps tomorrow, just because I know that the conditions, aren't hopefully going to be anything like what it will be in May. So yeah, I think there would be a lot more to learn once we really get into the 2 weeks that we're on track here.
Let's go, Tony, and then we'll take one or two off Jim. Go ahead, Tony.
Probably dating back to October as well. When you're out here, it's been probably information overload. Everybody's giving you some advice. You got TK up there. What is something that has surprised you out on the track that you've had to adjust to, and what's something that maybe has came a little bit more natural than what you expected?
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think anything's quite real out there in practice, like to what I'll experience in the race. I think I'm going to be overloaded during the race of trying to process information, or not only information, just learning during the race. But for practice, like the few laps I got in the second session, like there was a lot of like checking up for whatever reason, like getting in the corner, and I think that kind of helped me realize that I need to look further ahead than this one car that's in front of me. Like I think I was like fourth or fifth in line at that point, and I probably needed to look, a couple more cars in front of that person. And when I say that person, also, like, I don't know who I'm out there around, because like in a stock car, somebody turns the corner, you can see their door number, or there's a number on their back bumper. Like I've got no clue who I'm out there around and learning off of. So that was surprising. Like I thought it'd be easier to know who is out there around me, but yeah, it's difficult, but and then I don't know, just the cars to me feel very similar to a stock car in a way. Like everything that I feel out there is like what I would expect from a 9 a.m. practice session in a stock car at the Brickyard 400. Like cool conditions, got grip, all that. So it doesn't, although, we wouldn't be running around here wide open in a stock car, like the way that the tires feel and all that, feels relatively similar.
Microphone, Alyssa, up here in the front. While that happens, I'm curious about your thoughts about ROP last year, the session you had at Phoenix Raceway, and now this experience. Have you been able to build on one another, or are each one of them kind of separate in its own way?
No, I think for sure you're doing I wish it wasn't so spread out.
Yeah,
I wish
yeah.
I didn't do it in October and then in February and then in April. Like I wish it was days apart or weeks apart. But I think had I had to do the ROP today, like I would have been stressed out and like really nervous and just not able to focus on, something or anything. So having it spread out like helped me kind of take my time with like, all right, like I wanted to feel the car at the ROP and just feel what like little stuff, steering wheel felt like, visually, like what all that felt like. I'm like, okay, that was good. Then you go to Phoenix, like, okay, now I want to feel like the car and like it's slipping and moving and work on, ins and out of pit stalls and stuff. And that was good for that test. And then now like today I could move on to the next thing. Like, okay, now what's it look like around cars? How does what I've learned in the past translate to now being behind cars? Where I think if had the weather had been good today, like I'd have been stressed out about the ROP and like what that was going to look like. And then, okay, now you passed that. Now you got to go out there and like run wide open behind somebody. Like, I don't know if mentally I'd be ready for that. So, I'm fortunate that I was able to do the ROP last year and then, be allowed to run that little bit at Phoenix for sure. I think it's definitely going to help.
Go ahead, Lucille. Then we'll take a couple off Zoom.
When Jimmy Johnson was in our series, he was pretty honest about the differences, going from the NASCAR car to, the Cup car to the Indy car. Did you talk with Jimmy at all before you came out here and did this, or?
Just briefly, I think a few months ago, he just said I was gonna have a blast, honestly, really. I've tried not to ask too many questions to people. Like I feel like the way I've learned in the past is like I just need to learn on my own a little bit. And don't get me wrong, like I'm leaning on Tony Kanaan a lot and was in there while I was during the couple hour break, like talking to my teammates and stuff. But I think to a point, like I just need to almost just feel things out on my own sometimes. And things are like Jimmy hasn't ran a next gen car that much. And so like, I don't know how well he could like compare to what I currently feel in a stock car and like how that would relate to this. So any information's good. I just don't want to overload myself with too much information from too many different people and just confuse myself. I think there's just although we're on track a lot, like it's a small window of time to learn. And I think if I overwhelm myself with too much info, I can get lost.
Okay.
Thanks, Lucille. Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Go ahead, Nate.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, Kyle, going back to what you were saying about this feeling like a 9 a.m. practice for the Brickyard. I think you said earlier, too, that the next gen has kind of made the transition similar to IndyCar. Can you elaborate on that? Like how is the next gen, which obviously looks nothing like an IndyCar, how is it kind of like maybe more similar now that it feels like?
Yeah, I don't know exactly like what the components are that has made it feel like an IndyCar or whatever, or it's when I compare it to it's not exactly like it, but just the feel that I feel like in my hands with the front tires, not that I'm feeling the rear tires here, but like at Phoenix, just feeling the rear tires and kind of the lateral grip or lack thereof grip felt more similar to a Cup car. Like the old style car, you could kind of slide it around more. It was a bit lazier feeling. Where now the next gen cars are more of closer to like a sharper edge of having grip and then losing that grip, where the sensations that I get in the Indy car is like, like at Phoenix, I got that feeling a lot. And then just the way that the front tires kind of load and you get to your hands to a point, and then like you can steer past the slip of the tire and all that. Like just, I don't know, just something, maybe I'm feeling the sidewall or whatever, but it feels very similar to like what I would feel in my hands if I got tight or understeer in the middle of the corner. So yeah, it just feels, the next gen car, like I said, is just closer to the edge of grip and then losing grip, which I think the Indy car is even sharper, but similar.
Got it. That makes sense. And then following up on one more thing you said in your Peacock interview, you were talking about how you wished you had the SMT data that you have in NASCAR. Like, what's one thing? Is it just knowing like where those guys are lifting in the corners, like throttle traces? And is there one driver in particular whose data you would love to see just based on what you've seen today?
Yeah, I would look at anybody's, honestly. There's not like one driver, and I think it's difficult, like, a place where it's so big and there's drafts and stuff. But like, if I could just go and look at, like, when I'm in a drafting pack of like, okay, this is what I look like I'm doing. This is compared to what guys typically do. Like overlay on like the same corner. It's hard. Like, I can't sit here and describe SMT to these people because they've never seen it, but you have. But I don't know, just be nice to like see myself on top of it, or a ghost car on top of mine from somebody that I was running around, and like what that all looked like, where they're grabbing gears, where I'm grabbing gears, line shape, all that. Like everything about SMT would be amazing to look at and be so helpful for myself and for anybody who's a veteran in there. I think they would love to see it. But SMT is just a great tool that we have in NASCAR, that I guess I'm thankful for as a rookie. But I guess, yeah, at times in NASCAR, I wish we didn't have it.
Right on. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate. Archie, go ahead with Kyle Larson.
Thanks, Dave. Hi, Kyle. I guess, how did you find your first experience of running in traffic? Maybe how did the car behave differently to when you've just been running alone?
Yeah. So when when I was able to go that faster lap or whatever, I think that was my first run on that set of tires, and there was a few cars in front of me, and I've been hearing about how the dirty air is and all that and how bad it is, and in that run I was like, man, it doesn't feel that bad. Like, it didn't feel that different from clean air, and I was wide open behind them and it was no problem. And then we did some ins and outs and got towards the end of that set of tires, and I was by myself, just kind of running and building lots of understeer by myself. And we stayed out there to kind of allow Newgarden to catch me, and he ended up passing me, and I like totally lost the nose. So that was pretty crazy, kind of feeling that and all of that. But I think I could have done a better job as well, like when he passed me and timing the air and the run and all that. But still, like, once I kind of lost the nose, like, I couldn't, like, it was hard to recover from it. So it was so sensitive that, again, I don't know. I don't even know if like that's real, but I would assume that's more real than me not feeling a balance change in traffic. But yeah, that's why it's just kind of hard to learn right now, like when the conditions are like this and the packs are smaller and all that. So there's still a lot left to learn. But that's what
Yeah,
I
and
felt those couple runs.
I think you've spoken before as well about maybe just not knowing where you stack up against other drivers, not having a benchmark on track. How encouraged are you now after today, when you have been on track with other cars and you can see that you are very competitive with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to really say because, like, I just think I got like a magic draft and laid a lap down. But so I really don't know. I don't even know. I don't know how to answer that. But I think I still have a lot of time to learn. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, I saw Twitter was going crazy because, oh, Kyle Larson was second in first IndyCar practice with people. But like, there's a lot of people that weren't drafting out there or didn't have like the draft that I had. So it's I take the credit, but it's really not a big deal either.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, Ashley, wrap up here in person with Bruce, and then we'll close her up. Go
You're
ahead.
very familiar with the guys that you race with every week in NASCAR, and you're really probably pretty familiar with the guys you race with in sprint cars. But this is a group of drivers you haven't raced with before. And how important is it to really learn their nuances and their traits and their characteristics so that you can recognize that when you're up here running for real?
Yeah, no, I think it's very important for sure. You know, like I just kind of think back to like when I started racing late model stuff. Like I had to do a lot of studying on drag. Like I literally watched no dirt late model races before I raced or got the idea to go race them. And so yeah, I had to study, and it's much easier to study a dirt race than it is a 500-mile IndyCar race or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think for me and Indy, like I'm probably just gonna have to go off of what other like my teammates tell me about other drivers and all that. But I haven't really heard much about other drivers and their aggressiveness or who's really aggressive, who's crazy, who's not, who can you take advantage, who can't you, stuff like that. And I don't even know if that really like translates to an oval. I think I wouldn't be surprised if like guys are maybe aggressive on like a road course or maybe not quite aggressive on a oval. So yeah, it'd be hard for me to watch Long Beach and be like, man, that guy's gonna be crazy at Indy. But so I don't know. I just try to listen and soak up as much of that sort of information as I can too. Yeah, I know how, and I'm probably the most aggressive when it comes to sprint cars. So I know like I've got that. So like, but on this, I probably won't be very aggressive. So, or at least not for a while, but we'll see.